Hello, and welcome to the Unity of Fredericksburg. My name is Linda, and I'm pleased to welcome all of you to the Unity of Fredericksburg weekly online gathering. At Unity of Fredericksburg, we are advancing the movement of spiritual awakening and transformation through unity, a positive path for spiritual living. We thank those of you watching on YouTube, live or later, and invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're able to attend live, we encourage you to join us in the Zoom community room for the full Sunday morning experience, including music, prayer, and connection. Our weekly newsletter includes a Sunday service link, and you can subscribe to receive that on our website at uofva.org. For everyone local to Central Virginia, Unity of Fredericksburg offers a variety of fun and enriching in-person gatherings every month. Subscribe to our weekly newsletter at uofva.org for all the details. Our message and meditation today comes from Reverend Lily Boyles, who grew up in unity, believing wholeheartedly in humanity's sacred worth and our messiness. This dichotomy of each of us being fully human and fully divine inspired her to pursue a BA in religious studies and sociology from the University of New Mexico. Ordained from Unity Worldwide Spiritual Institute in 2022, she continues to pursue ministry focused on deep care of individuals, family systems, and communities, knowing that spirit moves inside and outside the walls of a traditional church building. This led her to pursuing clinical pastoral education at the University of Kansas Health System in Kansas City, Kansas, where she will graduate in May 2025 and pursue the credentials to live into her call as a board certified chaplain. Being a chaplain means holding space for the hard and the holy to be seen, heard, and honored. And now here's Reverend Lily.
Good morning. It is my honor and my privilege to get to be here with you all this morning. I wanted to offer a talk this morning that honors not only what I need, but I think maybe what we need in this world. And having it be the last Sunday of March, which is Women's History Month, I wanted to bring forward some of the words and some of the wisdom of one of my favorite women in history, and that is Myrtle Fillmore. Some of you who may be in Unity for a while may know the story of Myrtle Fillmore's miraculous healing, where she had lived in an experience with a tuberculosis diagnosis. And through diligence, through meditation, through talking to her body, was able to heal herself of that. And that took time, and that took inspiration, and that took connection of knowing that she was one with the one. Also known as Mama Myrtle, she has held a sacred space in my life as I have become a woman of unity, as well as being raised in unity. But sometimes when I think about Myrtle's story, and I think about it through my lens, my busybody nature, I would have wanted that process to hurry up. Come on, I've said the right things, I've done the right things. Are we healed yet? I might have doubted myself and the power of the divine to actually move through me in that process. But Myrtle's clear voice is seen in not only her story, but also the published and unpublished letters throughout her time in this earthly experience. And some of that voice that I want to offer us today is about stillness. One of the things in this talk that I came up with was the wisdom that was offered to me of shifting ASAP, which is as soon as possible for most of us, but maybe looking at it with a new lens of ASAP being allow space and pause. And so being a chaplain, which is what feels like my truest calling in this world, ASAP takes on a whole other meaning because there are things in a hospital that are an emergency. When you get a stat call, that is as soon as you can be there, that someone needs you now. And being in a hospital setting, sometimes that is a physical need. Someone comes into the emergency department. For me and my team, that is a spiritual need. And there are such things as a spiritual emergency when your loved one is getting ready to pass and you just need someone to hold the hardness with you. That is a spiritual emergency. And one of the things when I first started being a chaplain is I was handed two pagers. And being young in this world, I had never even held a pager before. But here's two pagers where all of the calls that you are expected to respond to will come on through them. And I had never really been in this space where I had to be so immediately available to sink into the care, the emotions, and the pain of other people. But that is part of my training that I'm so grateful to be able to do as a student of chaplaincy. One of the things that is part of my experience now is being the chaplain on call. And sometimes that is overnight and on the weekend where I am the only chaplain in the hospital. And of our hospital system of nearly 1,000 beds, when I first started, that was a daunting task. Even almost complete with my experience at times, this is a daunting task. And when I had first started, I felt so nervous that I wasn't going to know the right things. I wasn't going to say the right things. I wasn't going to be able to be there at the right moment. And one of my dear mentors was the one who offered a reframe of ASAP: allow space and pause. And that has completely shifted how I not only am able to extend care to others in a hospital setting, but also extend care to others in my life and extend care to myself. That there is no timeline for healing. There is no timeline for grief. There is no rush to be able to feel an emotion and be done with it, even if that feels better. To just say, I think I'm done feeling angry right now. I think I'm done with that deep well of sadness that has come up. It's just not how I think as humans we show up in our full humanness and our full divinity. Part of the call from Myrtle that I appreciate is that she is incredibly direct in her words that I want to offer to you. This is from a letter called Going into the Stillness that she wrote in 1936. What will never cease to amaze me is the timeless words, the timeless message of our day right now in 2025 that the Fillmores were developing and putting into practice so long ago. For some, 1936 isn't so long ago in your life experience, but for me, that feels quite a ways. Our world has shifted miraculously since 1936 in the expectation of the hustle and bustle of the speed of information from which we can gather. So being able to tune back in to these words from Mama Myrtle is something that has been a balm for my soul, and I wanted to offer with you today. So I have had the letter that I have in front of me. And so these are going to be Myrtle's words. And one of the things that I appreciate is in there, she tells us what not to do and what to do. So we're going to start with a few what not to do. I'm going to read Myrtle's words and offer some of my commentary. And then we're going to move into what to do. And we're actually going to be able to put that into practice in a meditation. One of the things that she says early on in her letter to open us up, Myrtle says, students should not try so hard to go into the silence, but one should not try to hurry this experience. Anything that is an effort that disturbs the natural function of the body is not going to bring your mind into conscious atonement with the source of the light and every good. That if we are trying, saying, oh, I feel like I have to meditate, that is not how Myrtle suggests we approach this. But one should not try to hurry this experience, she says. Some of this is the trust that the divine timing and divine flow is really part of this process if we allow it to be so. But we are the ones who have to allow it to be so. She later says, when you start to go into the silence, you should breathe evenly in the happy feeling that you are taking in great drafts of God's pure life sustaining air, which is being used by every cell and every blood capsule. There have been times in my life when I have gone into meditation, and for whatever reason, my mind wants me to rush through this because I'm also, in my attempt to meditate, I'm thinking about the to-do list and who did I forget to email? And do we have everything for dinner tonight? And did I take that chicken out to actually thaw for dinner tonight? And I wonder what next week is going to look like. And is there rain? And should I be planting my grass seed? All of this is in meditation. And I will never say that there is a right way to meditate because there is a right way for all of us to tap into the divine that is uniquely ours. But what Myrtle is saying is our breath should be the one to be able to regulate with us, connecting us to God's pure life sustaining air, knowing that as we breathe in, that is a way that we can connect to the God within and the God beyond us. Myrtle also cautions that one can stay in the silence too much. It is merely a doorway opening onto that which is beyond the silence. For example, activity beyond the light and strength gained in claiming it. One can get too much of a good thing, just as one can get too much of perfectly good, nourishing food and then sit still, failing to convert it into the living energy and results of the energy. This is the Myrtle voice that I love. So, dear one, watch what you do and do not remain too much alone, too much in the silence, too much in contemplation and adoration, and not enough in the practical use of what the walks and talks alone with God would give. So instead of spending too much time in the silence, begin to make real practical use of what you have already gotten from the study and from the silence. When I was 20 years old, I studied abroad in India. And before I went to India, I went to Nepal and spent a week up at a monastery. And I had this expectation that I was going to have this divine, inspired silence retreat experience. And what I got was that I was just so quiet and there was no way for me to process in the way that I process, which is verbally and with others. And so in that moment, it felt like too much quiet, too much of a good thing that I had hit my threshold, but I wanted it to be seen by others and felt by others. That I believe that the work of spirit is work that we do together as well as alone. But Myrtle being able to say, if you are spending too much time in the silence, and I would offer too much time alone, there is a potential that you are not fully putting this into practice. I think we see that from our fifth unity principle of putting these practices into action that we are called to do. That there can be too much of a good thing and too much time in the quiet and in the silence. And so these are all things that Myrtle might be cautioning us to do. But then she also offers, how can we do this? And again, 1936. Some of this rings true for me today. I hope it rings true for you about how we can have a different relationship and be informed in our spiritual practice by the silence. Myrtle says, a little period of quiet and each rest every day is your opportunity to establish yourself at the center of your being, that one place where the supply of life and substance is inexhaustible. God is this eternal life that we make into living. Each day, you should have a regular period of stillness where your soul may gather sustaining power and restoring life. I think there is a discipline aspect to this that oftentimes I forget. That making time in prayer and meditation and in the quiet as part of my daily operation not only supports me on the days where it is easy, but it especially supports me on the days where I feel like I do not have enough time. When I feel like I do not have time to take 15 minutes in prayer and meditation, oftentimes is the time I should be taking 30 minutes in prayer and meditation. Being able to shift out of the mindset of, I don't have time, which feels very familiar to as soon as possible for me, and saying, no, I will reclaim my time and I will spend more time where I am needed, allowing space and pausing. Myrtle says, when you go into the silence, it would be well for you to direct your attention down into your organism, away from your head. The flow of blood will follow the attention, and thus the forces of your being and the flow of your bloodstream will be equalized. For me in meditation, the verbiage that I grew up hearing and often is still part of my visualization is sinking from my head to my heart, knowing that all of my thoughts of the world outside process up here, and all of the thoughts that I can release can also stay up here. When I can put a pause on my mental noise, the monkey mind, my humanity for a minute, not eliminating it, but saying, this is not your time, and sinking into the heart space that is the connection with the divine flow. That is where the power can be. I also think in the process of this, Myrtle says direct down into your organism, because really at the end of the day, that's what we are in this human experience, as an organism. And so being able to say it will flow through your entire body. Part of my spiritual practice is the embodiment of this. What does it feel like in our body? How can our body tell us? How can our feelings be messengers for something that is deeper for us? So much of this is the work of chaplaincy, when sometimes our body is not responding how we want, when our body may be failing us, and that might be putting our spirit and our faith into question. So being able to take time in the silence and have the flow of blood follow the flow of intention, that is how we can fully embody this practice in the stillness. She goes on to say, take your attention down out of your head into the organism. Move it through your trunk of the body and into the feet. And thus the forces of being will flow through the entire body and will be equalized. She says, you should be just as fair to the members of your body as you would be to your neighbor. You wouldn't expect to hold the neighbor's attention on one spot all day long, nor would you expect to demand of that neighbor that she should do without something she should have never had, nor would you burden her with more work than she should do. Now you are to treat your own members, which are close neighbors in your body temple, with just as much consideration and wisdom and love, giving them the benefit of this quiet time with the divine creator. For me, in Myrtle's words, I appreciate that opportunity to love your neighbor as yourself, knowing that loving yourself is the only way that we can love our neighbor in that same way. That the pieces of the body, the pieces where you might be stuck saying, I'm having this experience of cancer in a part of my body, and all of your focus goes into that part of your body and only stays there. Is that fair for the rest of your body? Knowing that you are a full and complicated, fully human, fully divine being in this life experience. If we only think about the head, or if we only think about the heart, are we shortchanging other pieces of us that make our fullness? I think being able to treat ourselves with a little more kindness in the stillness is something that we could radically do to love ourselves better. And part of that is being able to take the time to allow space and pause. Myrtle says, be still, be still, be still. God is in the midst of you as substance. God is in the midst of you as love. God is in the midst of you as wisdom. Let not your thoughts be given over to lack, but let wisdom fill them with the substance and faith of God. Let not your heart be the center of resentment or fear or doubt. Be still and know that at this moment it is the altar of God, of love. Love so sure and unfailing. Love so irresistible and magnetic that it draws you to the supply from the greatest storehouse in the universe. Trust God. Use God's wisdom and prove and express God's love. Part of this is being able to know that we are our best selves when we are one with the one. And doesn't that sound lovely? Myrtle finishes her letter and says, as you come out of the silence, count your blessings and give thanks for them. Realize that only the good exists in you and in your world, that the power you contacted in the silence may be the opportunity to multiply and increase your blessings. Give thanks that you have already received the good for which you look to God for in the silence, feeling the assurance. Before they call, I will answer. And when they are yet speaking, I will hear. That's from Isaiah 65:24. Before they call, I will answer. And while they are yet speaking, I will hear. For me, when I am not taking time in the silence, it also means that I am not taking time to honor that which has already been given to me, that which I am a co creator and co collaborator with the divine in creating in my life and in my world. Unity's phrase of a world that works for all is part of this practice, being able to hold that we are a powerful source of intention and of good, of blessings that are here and blessings that are coming our way. I think we might block our own blessings if we are not taking time in the quiet. It is easy to hear the noise of the world, to be caught in the as soon as possible of our hurried society, to be able to say, am I doing enough? Am I offering enough? Will there be enough for me? All of that comes from a place of lack consciousness. And what Myrtle is calling us into is to know our abundance and connect to that wisdom and deep faith in God. God as us, God in us, God through us, and God beyond us. And so I want to shift us into a meditation experience following this process that Myrtle has set up for us. So this can be your moment of silence today. So consider that already checked off on your to-do list today. Moment of quiet together. That's what we're going to move into. So however you might need to position your body to be comfortable, I invite you to do so now. If it helps to close your outer eyes, you are welcome to do so. If it helps connect you to your body by putting your hand over your heart, you are also welcome to do so. Whatever works for you, knowing that this is your time and your expression in connection with the divine. But I invite you, wherever you are, to just begin doing an inventory of your body. Just scanning and noticing, not getting stuck anywhere, but starting from your head, moving down to your shoulders, through your arms and your fingers, just noticing within your body if there's any tension or pain, and just noticing it, shifting down through our chest, to our hips, down to our knees, and through our feet. And if there was any point in your body that you felt some tension or felt some pain, just honor it. And as your breath continues to be the inflow and outflow of spirit, I invite you to find a stillness within you, knowing that this is your moment, connecting in with the divine. And as you continue to breathe, I invite you to say quietly in your mind or out loud, God in the midst of me is love. God in the midst of me is love. God in the midst of me is wisdom. God in the midst of me is wisdom. God in the midst of me is truth. God in the midst of me is truth. And if there is another attribute of the divine you want to call in, I invite you to do so. God in the midst of me is beauty. God in the midst of me is joy. God in the midst of me is peace. Whatever feels like the thing you need or that you are, continue to breathe, affirming that for yourself. And so, as we anchor that truth in for each of us as a unique expression of the divine, we offer thanks and gratitude for all that is and all that will be, realizing that there is good in you, good around you, and good in our world. And for that, we are grateful. And so, when you are ready, I invite you to come back into your body, wiggle your toes, maybe shrug your shoulders, open your eyes when you're ready, and come back to whatever space you are in. Thank you so much for having me today and letting me offer some of Myrtle's words and my own, knowing that you are the blessing in this world. Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching the weekly broadcast from Unity of Fredericksburg. Visit our website, uofva.org, to learn more about our mission of spiritual awakening and transformation, and support our ministry with your financial donation. Thanks again for watching.